Hey, everybody. It's Jeremy from jeremy.net. I am a comic book artist, writer, creator, self publisher, and I share my creative process here with you online. If you enjoy these live streams, like to get additional bonus live streams twice a month, you can become a Patreon subscriber for as little as $2 a month. Head on over to patreon.com/Jeremy. It's patreon.com/GERIMI. If you'd like to get a free digital sketchbook, work in progress animated GIFs, blog post delivered right to your inbox about what I'm reading, what I'm watching, what's inspiring me creatively, you can sign up for my free newsletter at substack.com/@Jeremy. And if you'd like to pick up physical copies of my comic books, or if you read digitally on Kindle, go to amazon.jeremy.net. They'll forward you to my Amazon author page. So today, I am honored and highly pleased to welcome our guest here, my good friend, Carlos Mendoza. He is a creative director, design director, illustrator, product designer, packaging illustrator, all-around creative genius, art educator and presenter, and he's launched his own company as the chief creative of Red Raven Studios in New Jersey. Thank you, Carlos, for joining us.
Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate it, man. I'm so happy to be here with you, brother, and it's so great to see you too, man. It's been years, and I'm just so grateful to be here with you, man. Right on.
Yeah. For folks, you want to go head over to Instagram, check out Carlos 3 Art. That's the number 3. You can see some of his work there. I've known Carlos for years, and he has continued to be a source of inspiration and knowledge and light, not just about the creative side, but about navigating the creative side with the business, because you're an entrepreneur. You're inventing stuff, launching your own brands. It's just it's one of those things where every time we talk, it's heartwarming and it's uplifting, and you bring that out in both your work and in your personality. And I know from the mutual friends we have that you have that effect on other people. And I've seen you give talks and lectures where it's like that creative spark that gets people hyped. You've got the hype dust on you. It glitters off you. It's like, it's what Rick James was talking about.
I appreciate it, man. Well, no, likewise, dude. And like I said, I'm gonna return that back to you, brother. And I just want to say that you, when we worked together at Jax, you were a big inspiration of mine, and your sacrifice and dedication you've dedicated to your craft is I'm just happy that you're doing what you're doing, inspiring others still, because even then when you didn't go to lunch with us because you were too busy on your comic book and your writing and your inking, and your devotion was just, unmatched, dude. It's absolutely you and Hazy, like these guys that are out there, Cheetos and all those guys are just are phenomenal inspirations of mine. And like I said, I really appreciate all that you guys do. And again, it's like I sponge the energy off of you guys, because you guys are incredible. So kudos to you, man. Right on.
Well, thanks. So I keep it pretty free flowing, like we were talking about. It's just one of those things where we just shooting the shit and seeing where things go with us. For context, for people that know, like you said, we work together at Jax, and your work in the toy industry, in terms of developing product, leading teams, I think a good place to start is that everybody, I think, in this time and place has a sense of overwhelm. And I'm curious, just in terms of navigating the your personal creative fires, because just on your own, your sketchbooks are filled with gold and magic, and you have the art book that you put out that I unfortunately have to own a copy of.
I'll get you one. I'll get you one. Yeah.
No, I have one. I bought one.
Oh, you did? Yeah. I'm sorry. I mailed out so many, dude. I'm grateful. Thank you.
Yeah. No. You wanted to send me. You wanted to send me one, and I was like, no.
I remember. You were one of the first. You're right. I remember. You were one of the first. Yes, you were.
So I'm pretty sure I know which bookshelf it's on, but I don't want to go in there and start digging in my stack.
All good.
But balancing the personal creative fires with the creative work that keeps the light on, keeps the lights on and pays the bills. Just how do you feel like is it one of those things where, yeah, it's just tough? You're like, no, I've got a method, I've got a way of doing this. Obviously, you're a family man, you go to church, you have a spiritual practice. Like, how do you manage the inside, the interior with the exterior world in terms of just creativity?
Yeah. Well, it's, I say this a lot, and it's a lifestyle. You know what I mean? You got, like I said, even with you, when you were thinking your book, like, it's a lifestyle. It's not something you can just put aside and be like, well, I'll get to it. You know what I mean? It's definitely something you have to make time for. My kids are now older, and when I did have them younger, I would manage my time with them, and I started learning as a young dad. I started learning to incorporate them into my daily drawing of time. And so I would have a drawing table with them, and it was back when we were working on Moana and like just all these things. So I would set up their table and we would draw together, but I'd be drawing in my sketchbook to get in some time, and then they'd be drawing on there. So for them, it's more of like I'm spending time with dad drawing together. Little do they know is that dad is spending time getting better because I need to get better. But I also need that relationship with them to know that creativity is I'm sharing that with them and they're sharing it with me. So it becomes a family thing, right? The other part of it is your time management, right? So not only is it bringing family into your world of art, but also to your time management personally. For example, like I would wake up really early in the morning to work on my book. Early mornings, I'm talking about 3-4 o'clock in the morning, I'm up. And where people are not wanting to do that, I said, or else I won't be able to do anything. So those times, but I would also go to sleep at 8 o'clock. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. I'm at 3 o'clock, it's 7 hours of sleep. Perfect for me. So I just figured, I go to bed early and I wake up early. So while everybody's sleeping, I'm just grinding on my book and trying to get things ready and laid out. And so it is a sacrifice. You got to put in some time to really give your work a voice, because sometimes we forget that, we're trying to make the 9 to 5 work, and we're trying to get through the stresses of the job and the meetings and the back and forths and just the drama of working in the corporate environment, right? Versus you go home and just like literally just unwind and create your own stuff. So I think for me, it was really more about like, I think it was you that mentioned this a long time ago to me, where it's like, this job is my, you said something to that effect a while ago and it stuck with me. You said something to the effect of like, this job is my part-time and my full-time is my book. You said something to that effect one time. And I didn't understand that until I started working on my book. And I said to myself, putting in the time for me should be my full-time job. It should be where my heart's at. The job is really just a job. So it's just a job. So I don't want to sit there and invest my feelings on it. It's just more like, oh, they rejected these projects. Okay, well, what else do you want? What else do you want? And I just keep on moving because it ain't my passion. It ain't what I want to do. But my book, my art, my creativity. And I think during that time we worked together, I wanted to go work at Blizzard. And that was that time when I was really, really trying to learn the style of Blizzard. And it wasn't my style. So I spent 4 years of my time, personal time, to develop that Blizzardy kind of style to where eventually, I don't remember, I got the interview and, and it was cool because that alone was an accomplishment to get in front of those guys. So it took sacrifice, but again, it was that time where I needed to balance out my 9 to 5 to my passion, and so you got to definitely do that. Some people are okay with just, and I'll end with this. Most people are okay with the 9 to 5, and I've said this many times. It's like, it's okay. There's no shame in that. Just keep making your money, do your thing, grow in the company, but don't complain later that they're not moving you up. Don't complain later that they're not paying you enough. Don't complain later, because that's a 9 to 5. 9 to 5 is just that. It's just a 9 to 5. You take whatever they give you, right? So but if you want to move up in the company, there are some sacrifices. There are some things you got to learn. There are things you got to put into it. And if that is your passion to grow in that company, it's okay. Grow in the company, but don't be stagnant. But if that isn't your passion, focus on your passion and make time for it, you know? And so that's how
Mhm.
I ended up doing it. And I just focused on my passion. And then now I get to pick projects and jobs that I want. And I'm grateful that I'm able to do that now in my career, where I can pick and choose if I want to work on something or if I don't want to work on something. That's a that's a very nice place to be. And I think it was all because of the sacrifices that I had to make, you know? And so
Mhm.
now I can do that. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's well deserved because the body of work that you've produced over your career and the legacy that you've presented is such that, you know, now clients can see, you know, they come, they see what you've accomplished, they're like, oh, we want a piece of that.
Hmm.
So as opposed to the freelance that's coming from sort of the I just need to get a paycheck. Now when clients are looking for a voice, they're looking
Yeah.
for a vision. They're like, we don't know what we want,
Right.
but we know we want it to look like the things that you make because what
Yeah.
you make looks awesome. That's, you know, that's a much stronger place to approach projects from, you know, when it's not something necessarily that you own. But also, you know, just the idea of like a lot of times, most of the time I'm on here, I'm either working on comic books
Hmm.
or illustration,
Hmm.
and I talk to a lot of other artists that are either they're working the day job and trying to get to doing art,
Yeah.
or they're pro am, and there's a constant mindset that I understand, but I always try to convert, which is the people asking for permission.
Hmm.
Is, you know, people saying, well, hey, so I want to make a comic book, is it okay to make it should I make it black and white, should I make it
Yeah.
color, is it okay to do a comic book about this topic or that topic, do I want to do this size or not? And, you know, I always tell people that even though there are best practices and there's ways to do things, there's an easy way and a hard way.
Right.
That's
Right. Right.
very
Right.
true.
Right.
But in terms of asking permission of whether you should even make something at all, I'm like, don't ask for permission. Just make the thing.
Yeah. That's right.
Just
That's
make
right.
the thing. And what made that pop into my mind is the idea, you know, just when you mentioned how people are going to get to places where they may get to a point in their career where they're not going to move up, or there's nowhere else for them to move up
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. That's right.
And instead of asking other people for permission, you founded a studio.
That's it. That's it.
So,
Well,
I mean, was it something where you had known for a long time that it was brewing in the background, or was there a pivot point, or was it just a natural evolution of where you were already going in terms of founding Red Raven Studios?
that's a great question. And I'm gonna backtrack just a little bit of what you said earlier about you know, about doing stuff. And it's, well, just so you know, like I got my, and I don't talk about this company very much, and I'm trying to avoid talking about this company at all. But Spirit Halloween found me through LinkedIn because of my side work that I would do. So although I was working for a toy company, I was working on SpongeBob at the time, actually with Nickelodeon and them at Alpha. And it says right as I left Jack Pacific, I went to Alpha and I was working on SpongeBob. I was still drawing like monsters and creatures and things that I love to do. And I would
Mhm.
just post it. I would just post it and post it. And then they found me on LinkedIn and somebody reached out and said, "Hey, we're looking for an art director. We like your style and can, you know, would you be interested?" Little did I know it was in New Jersey, not in Cali. So I had to move my whole family, but it ended up being a very, very good move for us. And, you know, it helped me out to really kind of explore a new avenue of work, which is animatronics, which is actually what I
Mhm.
do now. I'm working on a lot of animatronic stuff now. Um, but that led to me feeling that area where it's like, I don't want to work here anymore. Like this place is completely, it's useless to me
Mhm.
because I have ambitions and goals. And there's some companies and that allow you to grow within the company, and there's companies that just use you for what you do. They squeeze a lemon, and then once the juice is out, you're kind of, you know, you're out. So and I use this for the old art director that was there. I told him, you know, because he was a little bit kind of, you know, worrisome that I showed up too. And, you know, I
Mhm.
told him, you know what, you've been here for 15 plus 20 years now at this company. I said, you're the Woody of this company, and I'm the Buzz Lightyear of this company. They're just excited about my shiny new wings and my lights
Mhm.
blinking. That's all this is. And eventually I'm gonna end up in the toy box just like you, with the name Andy on my foot. So at the end of the day, that's exactly what happened. And he was let go. And then I saw the writing on the walls, and I said, this is not for me. And so I chose, you know what? I want to go work. And it made me realize that not only is it an absolute, like, a good opportunity that I had, but also too, at the same time, like I said to myself, I can put something better with the resources that I have, to be able to still be inspiring, still be out there doing what I love to do. And so Red Raven was born. I left the company. Um, and when I started Red Raven, it was more like, I want this company to be the company I've always wanted to work at. And I want the people that I work with, I want them to be excited about the projects that Red Raven gets. And so what I did was I became versatile, where
Mhm.
now I don't rely on one-threaded relationships anymore. Like, where one-threaded relationships means that I only connect to one industry. Like, for example, like, I just go to toy
Mhm.
companies, and that's what some people fall in the problems into. They fall into this, like, oh, I only know everybody from toys. So what happens is, when the toy company drops and you get
Mhm.
layoffs, guess where you call your other toy guy? Hey, are they hiring at MGA? Or hey, are they hiring at Jax or at Spin Master? But guess what? They also went through layoffs, and now you
Mhm.
have nowhere to go. So the toy industry is very much like that. So what I wanted to do with Red Raven was to diversify my opportunities and my network. So now it doesn't become a thread, it becomes a web, right? And
Mhm.
so if you know a web on a spider, like a spider web, it's strength with threads. The spider builds the web with multiple threads. And so now it no longer is a thread that I just link to one place, because once that's severed, that thread falls and I have nowhere to go. So the web becomes more like, how can I be versatile in Red Raven, to where I can assist you with voice actors, I can assist you with animatronics, toys, arcade machines, illustrations, right?
Mhm.
Packaging art, 3D. So now I have a variety of different options for my studio. And you're going to ask me next is, well, do you do all those things? Absolutely not. So I said to myself, but you know what though? I do have friends that did lose their job in the movie industry, that in the game industry, because of AI and because of things
Mhm.
like that. So I started hiring them for their skills. So I have voice actors, voice actresses. I have friends of mine that worked in the toy industry that do some toy stuff for me. I get connected with Jack Specific. I get connected with Spin Master, all these different companies. And all I do is say, hey, I got this project. Can you jump on it with me? And then
Mhm.
I employ them to come help. And then now I don't say no to anybody. So now everybody gets employed, and then we get to work on fun projects, and then the customers are happy.
That's the
And
win-win-win.
that's the
Everybody
win-win. And so
wins.
so what I'm saying is, like, you want to ensure that, when you build something for yourself, or you're thinking about building something for yourself, make sure it's not a one-way road. It's not a thread.
Mhm.
Don't build a thread relationship with companies, build a web with multiple companies. And that included companies from overseas. There was a company that I was talking to from I believe they were from Italy.
Mhm.
And there's a few companies that were linked in overseas. And the problem with us in the US is, like, we think that if you're in LA, all you got is just the LA studios.
Mhm.
And you wonder, okay, I don't know where else to go. I'm like, hello, we live on a floating planet in the universe. Like, there's hundreds and billions of people out there that need us. And so why limit yourself to the area that you're at? So what I did is I just said, I'm going to China, and I'm going to this country here. And another big thing that I had an option to do was, I went to Germany and
Mm.
Amsterdam. And when I went to these places, and I met people there, and I linked up with people, and it actually built my web even further. Mexico is another one. And so
Mhm.
these are all little things that you connect with people. And so, not saying that all of them I'm working with, I'm just saying that connecting your threads to places where you can actually have cards that you can reach out to, it just gives you that value, that now when companies come for me, they say, hey, we'd like to work with you. I can say, well, oh, you know what, but I also have all of this on that I could bring to the table. And I just lay the table out full of opportunities, connections, resources. I have vendors that I can call upon any time to help me get the projects done, and so
Hmm.
that's the value that you can bring instead of just saying, well, I can draw cool pictures for you. And that's where the conversation ends. In fact, my buddy Hendra told me that he goes, you know what, you shouldn't sell yourself short. You have so many, you have so many resources that's where your value is. And I never really thought about that until he mentioned that to me. He goes, you know what, you were just selling me on a designer. I mean, why would I pay a designer all this top dollars you're asking for? But then when I told him all the stuff that I bring to the table and all the people that I know, now my value went so
Is
high.
way astronomical.
It's just yeah, just so it becomes a completely different thing. So your web is your currency, it's your value.
Hmm.
Your thread is the limitations. And so don't thread relationships, web your relationships, if that makes any sense.
Wow, that right there is a gold mine revelation in terms of ways to think of existing within a creative ecosystem.
Yeah.
I mean, all of us have had art teachers
Mm.
throughout our careers and mentors. Did you have a mentor on the business side?
Right now I have my good friend Hendra. He's been a very
Mhm.
good teacher for me. He's been a very good friend and has been helping me on the back end with some of my way of thinking. In fact, he he he's giving me books to read and like he's giving me like all kinds of
Mhm.
just way of thinking. And so every month I'm trying to tackle one book at a time, which I've never done. I've never sat and said, oh, I want to read a book, and it's not what I'm interested in. So I do listen to them on tape because I am drawing while I'm listening, but it just changes your mindset. It's just a way of thinking. It's just a way to really bring the next level of just don't think about just creatively, but think financially and responsibly about life,
Mhm.
and so that again increases your volume even more now because not only can you be creative, but now you can sustain yourself in financial conversations and you can talk about the business side of things and how you can expand and grow a company. And not just Red Raven, but also if you partner with another company or you become somebody, now you're getting into the CCOs and you're getting into
Mhm.
the, you know what I mean? You're getting into those executive kind of mindsets. And so there's nothing, I've always said there's nothing more dangerous. And I learned this through another friend of mine, that there's nothing more dangerous than a creative who understands their financials, because that person is very, very dangerous because they think logically about things, not just like, oh, I'm gonna draw a bunch of cool stuff. And then it's like it goes absolutely nowhere. You don't do anything with it. And again, sadly, I do have friends that are in that camp where they draw a bunch of cool stuff and do absolutely nothing with it.
Mhm.
And I was falling in that trap too until I started saying, you know what? I got so much art. Like, what am I leaving behind? Hence the book Nomadic when I did volume
Mhm.
one. It's like I got so much art. And I'm gonna just put it all in one deck and then show them how I do things. And it just became Nomadic. And those are things that again we got to think about as designers. Like, how do we capitalize on our work? You know what I mean? How do we become more smart about about what we are contributing to our industry, you know what I mean? And like I said, I have tons of friends. I'm sure you and I probably know a few of them
Mhm.
that are very, very talented. And I mean, I've said to a few of them, like, dude, I want to own your book in my library. I want your book in my library. I have yours, Jeremy. I have all your books in my library. So like
I
my
am
point is,
honored.
but the point is like, like the question has to be for yourself is like, what do I want to contribute to our community, to our industry? And what kind of voice do I want to have to the next generation? Because we're getting at that age now, you know what I mean? I'm
Mhm.
almost 50. And so like I don't have that time anymore to be sitting there going, well, I'm just gonna sit and draw, no, it's like, what is the legacy we're leaving behind? What are people gonna remember your work for? You know what I mean? And so I think I'm at that stage now where it's almost like I want to work on something that's meaningful now. I want to do something that impacts the lives of people. Because toys, it is what it is. I mean,
Mhm.
everybody's now a toy designer. Everybody wants to do toys. Everybody's doing a vinyl figure. But it's like, what is impactful about what you're doing? You know what I mean? And so, is it meaningful to you? Are you really just contributing to somebody else's bank account? You know what I mean? To another corporate company. So, that's why, again, going back to your original thing, it's like, it is important to think about yourself sometimes, and value what you have to put on the table, and so build that for
Mhm.
yourself. So yeah, so I would say like Hendra's a very good inspiration of mine. I have been reading a few books that have been very inspiring to me. But again, I try to be very mindful of who I listen to, because you can
Mhm.
get so many points of views that lead you in the wrong direction. So
We're just
I
spinning in multiple,
just
like chasing your tail. I saw you
yeah.
had a very Gary V book in that
Yeah,
stack
yeah.
there. I
Yeah.
love him.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just realist, right? I mean, just talking about
Mhm.
realists, people who are no nonsense kind of thing. And I'm just like that too now. I've gotten to a point where I'm just no nonsense. I'm like, I don't really care. Like, again, you know, um, I don't really like to get into too much crazy, just stuff that makes no sense to me. You know what I mean? Especially like when
Mhm.
you meet our other artists and stuff. It's like it's hard to really find mentors that are really there to help you grow, or find a brother in the arts that, or a
Mhm.
sister in the arts that are just there to inspire each other to grow. Lately I've been seeing a lot more of, or a lot of artists getting into the politics, and they're getting into so much stuff that we have no control over. Unfortunately, like I said, I see a lot of people posting, oh, unfollow me, or if
Mhm.
you follow this. So like, why as creatives are we getting into that? And I'm not going to get into the politics of it. I'm just saying, like, we have so much work to do as designers, you know what I mean? And that we need to like really, really hone in our craft and really inspire other artists, and so I stay away from all that stuff. So it's hard to say uh if I have a mentor or no mentors, but I
Mhm.
do, like I said, I do follow a lot of artists. Like I said, Hazy's one of my favorite artists too, that he's been banging out stuff. You're an inspiration of mine. There's a few other artists too that have been doing amazing work. Tracy's been another one that's been a good friend of mine for a long time, doing some great things. Now, I don't talk to a lot of them per se.
Mhm.
I'm inspired by their output. And so their content, I'm appreciative of that. So that's inspiring to me. You know what I mean? Seeing my
Mhm.
colleagues, and again, I don't have to be best friends and we got to go get lattes together. It's just seeing colleagues of mine that I respect, that I see them pushing new things. Cheeto's another one. Mondo.
Mhm.
All these guys are just super, super talented guys. And I'm inspired by that. So mentorship, like I said, I have Hendra. He's been very great with me, and really pushing me to become a different person than I was. And I value that, because it is showing me a lot more. But as far as inspiration, I would say I get it from, again, guys who are doing content like you, like they're contributing to our culture, you know what I mean? Artistic culture, right? So that's what I would say.
Hmm. Wow. I mean, yeah, there's that. I think what I'm hearing is just the expression of taking advantage of the fact that we're all connected. Like
Yeah.
the psychologist Carl Jung talks about the collective
Yeah.
unconscious,
Yeah, that's right.
and the fact that all of us, regardless of in fact, sometimes when you look at somebody who makes something polar opposite of what you make, sometimes you can find the best inspiration when you
Yeah.
see someone doing something and it don't look like what I draw. It
Yeah.
doesn't have the same type of characters, same type
That's
of color
right.
palettes, but you see something in it that says, "Wow,
Yeah.
I s-
Yeah.
I see what they're doing, and I
Yep.
see how I can take that
That's
and
right.
apply it to my own
That's
thing."
right. That's right.
And I think that's kind of a magical ecosystem. Um, and I think that the fact that I think instinctually, a lot of artists do that with the actual visuals or writing or the creative element. I think the fact that you have both people in your lives that are sharing that on the entrepreneurial level, and also the fact of like books, like I did go through a period where I was listening to a bunch of podcasts about entrepreneurship,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
because I was thinking, when going into self-publishing and
yeah.
starting a small business,
Yep.
and listening to that, and the fact that like there's people who you may never meet
That's
that
true.
still act as mentors for you,
That's true. That's right.
giving you those enlightenments, and dropping those gems, or just giving you the mind shifts. And
That's
I
right.
mean, I always feel like it's something for me. It feels like it's an ongoing process, because there's
Yeah,
some things
yep,
where I've made little shifts
yep.
and people have seen it throughout the years, but
Yeah.
I still don't feel like I've made like a polar shift where I'm like, I feel like I have as much control over my creative destiny
That's
as I
great.
would like to have.
Yeah, yeah.
But I saw an interesting comment here in the chats.
Yeah.
One of my boys, Herman, he said that hey, it would be cool to be a toy designer or go into graphic design. I just didn't get to know how to do so. Now, this is a guy, Herman. He's gone through art school.
Yeah.
So he's gone through that program, and he's actually in our age range, but he never got to the point where he actually jumped into the industry.
Yeah.
If you knew somebody who was in I don't know, either in art school or just coming out of art school right now, and they wanted to get into the toy industry or get into graphic design, where would you tell them to start?
You mean for graphic design?
Well, that's the funny thing, because for me, I got into toy design through graphic design. I snuck in the back
Same
door.
Here. Same here. Same here. So I started with so I was tattooing at the time, and I did a lot of flash art, and so I was doing t-shirt art also, so a lot of graphic art, t-shirt stuff, and I was able to go to Jada Toys, and they hired me to do a lot of like toys that were more for graphics on cars. So that was a lot of fun. So I had a good time doing it, and I started doing lowriders, pinstriping. So I started learning all the aspects of graphic design. It wasn't until I got to Spin Master that my eyes was just like, whoa. I mean, it was just more like, because I was in the game studio, so I wasn't in the toy studio. So they brought me into video games. So I started working on I just felt like, it was more what's it called, like a whole new world, because I discovered Photoshop, the capabilities of Photoshop, because before I was just vector. Believe it or not, it was just vector. So I didn't really know much about Photoshop. I did some Photoshopping, but it wasn't anything to the extent that I do now.
By the way, that's incredibly interesting, because that is the opposite of most creatives. Most people hate Illustrator.
Oh,
and Photoshop is the bread and butter.
The funny thing is, like, before that, here's why. I'll tell you why. When I started, I was working I was doing tattooing, but I also was working full-time at I was working at Mercury Insurance. So I was in the claims adjustment in the fatal stuff, the casualty claims. And so for me, when I got hired, they told me if I knew Illustrator. But I said I am an illustrator. So they misunderstood me, and the guy who hired me had a hard time hearing, and so he did say, I said, "Oh, I'm an illustrator." He thought I said I knew Illustrator, so they hired me with the notion that I knew the program. So when they put me on the computer, I quit my job at the insurance company. I came in. They're like, Illustrator, we do all these things in Illustrator, graphics, whatever, right? So I started working on some drawings or whatever, and he said, "Yeah, so when you start working on this project, you're gonna put it on the computer. Here's a Wacom tablet." And I was like, "What is this?" And he said, "Oh, it's a digital tablet, and you draw on it, and it comes out on the screen." And like it was something magical. I said, "You mean to tell me that if I draw on this thing here, it's gonna show up on the computer?" He's like, "Yeah, you never used this before?" And I said, "No." I said, he goes, "Have you ever used Illustrator?" I'm like, "What's an Illustrator?" And he's all like, "What?" And then so, long story short, they told me that I had to learn Illustrator like ASAP before, or else they'd have to lay me off, right? Because he felt bad that he hired me. Yeah. So I had to pick up Illustrator over the weekend, believe it or not. It was like a weekend.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it was a weekend. And Photoshop, I barely touched it, but I did do some like color changing of the rims, and then I did some other things, and I didn't know nothing about computers whatsoever. Nothing. Remember, dude, I was doing just hand drawn everything. And so yeah, so Illustrator became my go-to program. So everything I would draw would be in Illustrator, because it was sink or swim. It's like, dude, learn Illustrator or you're out. And so it ended up being that. So once I learned it, I went to Spin Master, and that's when they said, "Oh, we do Photoshop here." And I was like, "Oh, what's so Photoshop? So what are we doing here? Photoshop what?" So they put me to do graphics for stickers for marketing. So I started doing the stickers for Tech Deck and for Bakugan and a couple things like that for the marketing program. And it wasn't until like I think 2 years in, I was starting to do like, photoshopping monsters. I started doing more of their like their their storyboard, and so I really got into it. So there, I got a good mentor. There, I met Mike Rayhawk, which is phenomenal artist. Mike Rayhawk was absolutely one of the best artists I've seen at that time. And he blew my mind like millions of times. And he went and became the art director at Lego Universe. And so, I mean, he's just phenomenal. But then again, then I fell in love with Photoshop, and then Photoshop and me became good friends. And so now Vector was like, oh, I don't want to touch that. Like, I don't want to do it. So reverse, right? So I did reverse on that. So,
but it explains, honestly, it explains why your shape language is so strong. Because you're dealing with shapes first and foremost, as opposed to just
100%.
line, with Illustrator. And I'm like, huh, I never thought about that. But it's like you can see it laying the foundations for the work that I came to know you for. Like it's almost like it was your secret origins.
Yeah, it is. It truly is. And then, but when I was working on Photoshop, I started learning about JC Leyendecker, and JC Leyendecker also paints like illustration, like he does it in shapes. So I started really learning from him, and started learning a little bit more about like lost edges and things like that, like John Singer Sargent. So I started getting into the masters, because Rayhawk said you got to learn the masters and stuff like that. So it really did help out a lot to kind of bridge the gap between toys, games, and the real world of what's it called, of the masters, I mean, like painting and oil painting, the mediums of classical artists. And so I started diving into it a little bit more. I didn't get into painting or nothing like that. I just did all of the traditional style into my digital work. So that's how it evolved into what I do now.
Well, I mean, but you can see it very clearly, because a lot of artists, I think, do struggle with the transition from traditional to digital. But the whole idea of how sculptural your illustrative work is, it's like you can see that you're taking and applying the way that the old masters used light and shadow to turn form and create the illusion of a three-dimensional solid object and the changing of planes. Like all of that, like I could see it in your sketches when we would hang out, just sit around the table doing it in the sketchbook. But then you would take that same thing and you would do it where maybe it was just a rough sketch and you built it all there, or you would take one of your very rendered pencils and then paint on top of it. But it's like you can see the lessons of the old masters applied to grizzled orcs.
It's true.
And it's like, it's so dope.
It's true. But it's funny because like I knew that I was too lazy to learn 3D, and I didn't like 3D whatsoever. I cannot get into 3D. So my cheat was, what if I rendered like it was 3D? And so how do I do that? So again, I have to apply the fundamentals in order for me to get to where I need to go. And so in order for me to avoid 3D, I learned how to turn shapes and how edges work and how lighting works. And like a friend of mine, Ben Garriga, he's a graphite nightmare on Instagram. He told me about this thing called the Terminator on a sphere. He said the Terminator determines it's the separation between light and dark. And I said, the Terminator? And dude, honestly, that became the staple of everything for me, because then it actually I understood how to balance out light and dark. The Terminator does not allow light to transfer over to the dark side. The dark side cannot hop over the Terminator or core shadow, and you cannot go over. So I started adapting this kind of understanding of the fundamentals that now, like I said, now I cannot unsee it. And they say, like my friend Pablo said the same thing. He said, once it's kind of like the Matrix, where like once you are open to lost edges and you know about how to control edges, your work just becomes something completely different. Like you actually just, once you master that, you can pretty much do anything. Your work just look more finished. And so that's what I do now. I control my edges. I understand my light sources, and so I'm a lot more comfortable now going back to old cool drawings that I had, and I just bring them back into Photoshop and just clean them up. So yeah, it's fun.
No, I find that's one of the things I'm wanting to do more with my own work, is go back and look at some of the pieces that I thought were dope when I made them,
Mm.
and they're not dope now.
Mm.
And honestly, you see, like, you look at illustrators like Loesch, and the fact that, like, she'll go through and she'll show, like,
Yep.
this was me in like 2000, this was me in
Yeah.
2005, this was me in
Yep.
2010, and she
Yep.
show you that evolution. I'm like, I need to go back and look at some of, like, both even the pieces that I think are
Yeah.
good,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
still go back and rework those, because
Yep.
I feel like it's not it's not about the glow up. It's about looking at both where my knowledge has developed and
Yep.
where it still needs to develop.
Yep.
Because I always
True.
for as much as you've had kind words to say about me, and I always tell other people not to feel bad about not feeling like their work is where they want to be. Because for me, the imposter syndrome is always there.
Always.
I've,
Yep.
I've just learned to live with it.
Mm.
But it's like when I look at my own work, all I see are my flaws.
Mm.
I'm grateful when other people see things in it that they like, and I'm like, oh, but it's the desire to grow that keeps me
100%. Well, that'll
You
keep
know,
you
it's-
going. That's what's
Yeah.
going to keep you moving forward. Because
Mhm,
if you think that you're like, oh, I'm a master already, I don't need to,
mhm,
then you don't need it. So, but the
mhm,
fact that you still have that unfinished business,
mhm,
I think keeps you going. You know what I mean? I think that I have that too, where I'm just like, man, this is just not right. In fact, I'm
mhm,
working on a Pennywise right now. I'm working on a Pennywise the Clown,
mm,
and when I look at him, I'm thinking to myself, man, this could just be better. And I'm
mhm,
like, man, this could just look just a little bit more. I think I could push a little. But then you get to that point where it's like, man, and then everything's just but, and then I never finish it.
mhm,
So then I say to myself, you know what? I'm gonna put it out because it's just awesome looking. For me, it looks, I think it'll just say what I want to say. One of my last posts that I did like a bearded guy from one of my old drawings when we used to hang out together.
mhm,
I did it was a red sketch, and then
mhm,
I pulled it out of that old sketchbook, and I'm like, you know what? I can render this now in the way I am now currently. So I
mhm,
rendered it out, and I did all my work on it, and I said to myself, man, I should do more of this because there's a lot of cool characters I'd like to bring back to life. And I do see a lot of my flaws, and even now that I've gotten way better at illustration, I still feel like, oh man, I wish I could have, man, I should have done. Ah, look at these, and this is not right, and the lights. Why is
mhm,
the light hitting here if it's not? And so I think about that. And I say to myself, you know what? I had fun doing it. Period.
mhm,
Like I had fun doing it. Like that's all to me. It was fun. I don't need like I said, people will critique it regardless if it's good or not. Everybody has an opinion, right? So I said to
mhm,
myself, if I had fun doing it, I am good with it. Like if I had fun, I got what I needed out of it. And this is another thing, Jeremy. Like when I digitally paint, I'm also learning.
mhm,
It's a learning thing for me. It's a reminder of my process, because my process changes all the time depending on how I want to paint that day. So it's not like I go in and go, oh, well, I'm gonna lay down foundation first, and then I'm gonna lay down my shadow mapping, and then I'm gonna go into highlights, and then I'm gonna go and blend and add color. No. Sometimes I just go right into color and I just start slapping everything around, and then I start fixing, and I'm like, oh, that's not how you do it.
mhm,
And so I constantly switch up how I do things. So when people go, what's your process like? I'm like, I just have fun. Like I just paint how I feel the day. Like if I feel like I want to start with, with block-ins, and I'll block it in. If I don't feel like blocking it in, I don't. I just go right into color, or I just go right into the skin tone and start with the eyeball and build from there.
mhm.
I don't really have that approach. I just, like I said, if I'm having fun, I that's all that matters to me. If I had a good time doing it, I'll put it out. But that imposter syndrome is always there. It's
Yeah.
always like, dang it, but yeah.
But yeah, I mean, no, it's true. But that's the thing, that love, like you said, that
Yeah.
having fun for it. That I always tell people that I feel like what the difference, people talk about talent
Mm.
versus the hard work, and I almost feel like talent is, to me, the visual representation of joy.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
when you're first doing it, I think that, what the funny thing is, I don't know, I just had this thought in this moment now,
Mm.
which is, yes, there are some people who appear to be born with a certain level of natural talent, although the majority of creatives, it's hard work.
Yeah.
But I think even what talent is that the joy that someone has that makes them keep doing something, they probably started on their 10,000 hours way before anyone was even aware of it, because they just did it out of joy. So that by the time someone notices, they started so much earlier than
100%.
someone would think
100%.
someone would start, that you're like, oh, you actually have natural talent. It's like, no, you just started on your 10,000 hours early.
That's
true.
it.
Right. That's all.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
I think that's it, man.
That's where it's at. Yeah, no, I agree with you.
But I wanted to throw this on the screen real quick, just because we're hanging out, we're rapping, we're talking about different people we've worked with. Jamie's been showing up in the chat.
What's up, Jamie Lynn? I didn't even know. I didn't even look at the screen. What's up, Jamie Lynn?
Yeah, because I mean, Jamie and I, we knew each other from comics before we ever worked. Working together in the toy industry. So it was like, it's just one of those nice things where, when you start seeing friends, it's like when Different Strokes and Facts of Life crossed over. It's like all your favorite people know each other and hang out. And it's like, that's the love I like to see.
That's it. No, Jamie Lynn's talented too, man. He's a good one. He's one of the good ones.
Hell yeah. Well, we were also talking about, just the idea of whether a piece, we enjoy the process versus just getting to the finished thing and it being good enough.
Yeah.
The hot button topic is that for a lot of people who don't enjoy the process and just want to have the thing, that's when we get into sort of the whole AI debate.
I knew you were going there. I knew this was coming.
It was coming.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit pre-show. When you have clients that have it in their workflow, I know for me, what I have found interesting and challenging is I've been given presentation boards by clients that used AI to sort of develop sort of like the big picture idea of it, but there's things in it that are wonky. There's things in it that aren't laid out quite the way that it is. And my general thrust of a lot of the work that I'm doing these days is taking concept boards and I'm figuring out the mechanical artwork. I'm figuring out the flat artwork, how the labels are going to lay and move around the object, or I'm taking something that may be a cool concept board and I figure out, well, what are the actual physical dimensions of this? And how much of this is plastic versus rubber versus metal, and doing the call outs, moving the pieces. And it's the same thing that in any toy design, the puzzle aspect of trying to figure out how to realize this thing, how to manifest it in real life. In a way that can be manufactured at an affordable cost.
That's the key thing. That's very important.
I mean, I'll tell you as a side note before diving into the demon that is AI. I think I had told you this story years ago, but a long time ago when I was at MGA, when I first got into the toy industry, one of the first products that I designed that I was really proud of and came out the way I wanted was like this Spider-Man racetrack, like a Hot Wheels racetrack thing, and it raced around, but it had like a Spider-Man figurine in the middle.
Okay.
And what it would do is you pull a lever, and where the racetrack has the little jump where the car goes over, Spider-Man would swing this ball. It basically was like a case that would catch the car in midair. So it was like a time you had to come and swing it. It was like a big ball of webs, like it was catching the car. And we got it in, and the costing wasn't right. But everyone would come into the room where it was set up, and the company would look at it and be like, "Oh man, that's so dope." And they're like, "Oh, it's a shame. Yeah, shame we can't afford it." Like one by one, people come like, "Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, shame we can't afford it." Like my boss was like, "Yeah, man." He's like, I don't know where we can cut. Like he's like, you tried to build the most efficient way, cheapest way, but it's like we can't. And at one point, the guy who was like the VP of boys design came by and was like, "Hey, I saw that in the conference room. Looks great. Shame we can't hit cost." And I was just like,
That's true.
Oh,
yeah, it happens, man. It's like, there's a lot of things out there that are we have to, obviously consider costing and all that stuff. So it's like, we can always draw the best, coolest stuff, but that, going into the AI, just to kind of bleed that into it,
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem with AI.
Mm-hmm.
AI creates beautiful things that can't be made,
Mm-hmm.
and it needs people like us. In fact, I have a Skeletor that I created. It's I call it Old Man Skeletor,
Mm-hmm.
and I did a Skeletor in that kind of Warcraft style where he's just emaciated and just has these big armor weighing his body down, and he's holding his staff or whatnot. It's on one of my it's on my Instagram, and so I ran it through AI to see what AI would do with an Old Man Skeletor.
Mm-hmm.
So what it did was it gave him a beard, it sat him down on a throne, and it had him holding a staff, and it looked like it was boring. Like, I mean, there's nothing that had any type of emotion to it. It
Mm-hmm.
was just an image.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've seen AI do some great things with images like photography and videos, and I mean I've seen some amazing things. Even movies now are getting made with that stuff. But but the point I'm making is like in recent times I've actually had clients where they would show me art that's done by their sales team or
Mm-hmm.
their marketing team, and they're doing our job. They're coming up with the ideas because they're working with the clients, the customers, and so
Mm-hmm.
they go, oh, the customer wanted this character in this format, whatever. So they AI'd it, and then boom, they got it, and now they send it to the client. The client's like, we love it, and so now they're in China, they're getting it made, and it's happening so much. Then now
Mm-hmm.
the question is, how do we as designers, how do we utilize that as a almost like a power up for us, not a replacement of us,
Mm-hmm.
but a power up. Like, how do you level up with AI? And so the question is, how do you use AI as a designer is the typical question. The problem I see, and I seen both sides, and I'll explain to you where I fit after I explain these two sides.
Okay.
I see one side that is completely anti. They don't want to
Mm-hmm.
hear about it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to use it. They don't want to even come anywhere near it. They're just going to be there for 2 weeks, just rendering out that piece and getting it done because that's how they feel. That's how they don't want to associate because of jobs. And listen, I'm going to say this very boldly, and it's very, I would say, controversial, but AI is already causing layoffs.
Oh
It's
yeah.
already,
In entertainment, in games, in
it's already
toys.
this, it's already disrupted our
Mm-hmm.
culture, our industry. It's already disrupting it. So for you to sit there and say, "Well, I'm not going to use it," okay, that's your choice. But you know who is the next guy who needs to pay for his mortgage, who has to do all that stuff? Because trust me, I'm seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
One is saying no, the other one is like, I'll adapt it, see what I can do. Guess who's getting the work?
Mm.
The guy who's banging it out in a matter of minutes back to them, or the guy who's going to spend 2 weeks to get it back to them because he's rendering it on his own. You're not going to compete. As much as we want to kick and scream, you're not going to compete. The solve is that you utilize it, put your creative aspect up front and allow it to assist you, not let it be the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that I'm seeing this, that where people are utilizing to create images and be like, oh yeah, it's replacing my skills. That's
Mm-hmm.
where you go wrong. You don't want to let this thing replace your skills because you have to have a human element to it. And so part of the human element is to understand, how is this product made as a toy designer? How are you creating this? Anybody can create it online. You can say rubber ducky with military boots and a bazooka, and the AI will create you a bunch of versions of it. Problem is it in your price point? Can your manufacturer do it? Can your 3D modeler understand what it is, what you're asking? So what do? You say, okay, wait a minute, I need to do the full turnarounds. Well, guess what? AI can do your turnarounds too. I've seen it. I've seen it to the point where it's so perfect. I was
Mm-hmm.
shocked, and done in seconds.
Have you messed with Viscom at all?
Oh, I use Viscom at Spirit all the time. But here's the thing with Viscom. Viscom is a very powerful tool for textures. I'm in the animatronics world, so when I create a character, Viscom will not allow you. Well, it will, but if you have that moral compass as a designer, you
Mm-hmm.
would use. This is my advice. I would use Viscom at the minimum 80% influence. Minimum 80%
Mm-hmm.
influence, because I want my human design to be shining through that. I don't need it to go anywhere. I tested it multiple ways. 80% is where I cut the line. I don't want to go beyond that because then it starts changing my character to it doesn't no longer my design anymore. So with BizCom, what I do is I actually bring in like a mask and then I texture it. I tell it what I want it to, it'll describe it for you and it'll tell you what it is. So the textures become part of what, my character. So then I don't like that. So I'll bring it into Photoshop and then I start going in and start repainting what I want from that texture. If I want the ears to be longer, if I want the this and this, whatever. But that's my design. It's not generated design. That's why I like, and I'm a big fan of Viscom because of that reason. ChatGPT or any of the mid journeys, I try to stay away from mid journey because that's just completely you're just telling it to do your job. Mid journey is beautiful, but a lot of it is undoable. And as a designer, if you start submitting stuff, and I've seen this through a lot of people's portfolios that are trying to work with our studios, they come in and they oh, I'm also proficient in AI. I'm like, okay. So then they showed me one time, they showed me a witch. And I won't really describe too much because if he ever watches, I don't want him to think I'm picking on him. But he submitted a witch, and she was beautiful looking, like it was just so cool. And I said to him, I go, did you draw this? And he said, well, yeah. I mean, I had some. I go, where's your drawing at? I want to see your drawing of this because I want to know that you thought about this design. Because what I'm about to tell you is, it's really not doable for any of retail. Any retailer is not going to buy this whatsoever. I can tell you that this thing's probably about $600 to $700 for this item. Ain't nobody going to pay for that. So he didn't have the art. He lied. So then the other part, it was like, I'm going to give you one day to come back to me and tell me how much this thing is going to cost. I need you to tell me with a costume breakdown and the parts breakdown. I want you to show that to me so that I know that you understand that what you generated, because it is generated, you understand as a designer that you can make this. And you know what? Crickets. Why? Because he just wanted the job, but he didn't want the responsibilities of what comes with being a designer. And that's where a lot of directors need to be responsible with. And again, everybody's different. And I know I'm probably, picking some nerves right now, but it's just the fact that like we as directors have to be responsible too, in the sense that your team should know what they're generating, what they're using this AI for. And if it's just to create your own, just to create stuff, just to create it, then you're losing the human aspect of it, which is what keeps us employed. It's what keeps us creative. It's what keeps us on the edge of innovation and all that stuff. And AI is just there to give you pretty pictures. This is good for like a sales team that wants to give you like a mood boards and say, hey, this is what we're kind of looking for. And then you go into it and do your part. But I just truly feel like look, at the end of the day, Photoshop already has AI in it. It's already in it. It's Nano Banana is already in Photoshop. So ChatGPT or any of the like Gemini, they all have it and they're fantastic. Like for example, as an art director, I did a creature that had his hands down, and the team was like, well, can the client wants his hands differently, and I said, okay, well, we're gonna put his hands in his face like this. So I told Gemini, move the hands crisscross across the face in the same style, same style and same proportions. Boop, it did it like this for me. Okay, now bring the hands down. Boop, went it down. I sent it right back to China to get that done right away. You know how much time I saved myself from redrawing and recoloring that whole thing?
That's a lot.
So as when people say I'm anti-AI, then learn how to use it properly in your workflow so that it becomes a resource for you. Because remember, in this future that we're about to get into, clients and businesses are looking for efficiency. And knowing that they're utilizing their sales and marketing team to do your job, you better get on the ball with this stuff because it's going to replace you whether you like it or not. So if you don't get on board with it, now I'm not saying, like I said, don't listen to what I'm not saying. I'm not saying to use AI as like, to just get stuff out.
As your main art tool.
As your tool.
Your main art tool is this.
Correct. So you want to utilize your art because think about it, dude. And I'm going to say this in closing because I know it could be a longer conversation, but AI, when you're designing stuff, you want to make sure that you're proud of what you put out. You want to say that's my design. That's a human element. That's what we want. We as artists, we're very prideful. We have the pride to say, I did that. I put the time into that. I spent those hours learning this, right? And look at my outcome. Look at my output, right? So when I create an animatronic, I want to be proud that when it hits the stores, I'm like, that's my design. Because I, in my own good conscience, I can't say that's my design when I full-blown AI the whole damn thing. Right. I don't feel the human part of me that is the artist proud to say that some machine did it for me. There's no pride in that. And as designers, we're all prideful. We all have pride in our work. So how can I take pride with something that is completely done and generated by something that I didn't do? Now, again, there are parts of it where, again, you enhance things that you drew or sketches you had that it helps enhance to get it to where you want to get it to. But again, it's a tool. It's a part of your process. It's not the development aspect of it. It's not where you generate your designs from. It's
not the idea generator. It is
Correct.
simply a form of polish and a form of, I would say that's probably the most interesting thing, is that the big complaint on the anti-AI side is that even if it does make a great looking image, that it's not necessarily great at revisions.
No, it's not.
But that's the thing, is I think, like the thing you mentioned of it, just telling it, adjust the facial features, move this, move down, like learning how to get it to get better at actual iteration. I think that's where there's some powerful things. Like, for instance, we're used to having to map textures in Photoshop onto Photoshop renderings.
Correct.
It's not a 3D model.
Correct.
And I've had experiences where I've experimented with using AI to wrap patterns and textures around these things and being like, oh, okay, it did it, but didn't quite do it right. And then just telling it, do this, but increase the pattern scale 50%. And they're like, boom, it doesn't. Like, oh, all right, it actually can follow. It's like, and a lot of the times I've found when I've been tweaking it is that I will, after 3 times of it not doing it right, before I go back to doing it the hard way, I will say, hey, you're not doing this right. Teach me how to write a better prompt to
That's right.
Teach me how to give you better instructions. And it'll go through a whole breakdown. And then it'll teach me a different way to phrase it and do it, and get something that's much closer to the results.
That's very true.
But well, I mean, like you said, this thing is a whole big rabbit hole that we could go down. But before we wrap it up, I want to throw out a thought to you just to hear your feedback on it.
Sure. That
I was thinking about the fact that there's an AI gold rush and AI boom now, in terms of like C-suite executives and management are definitely pushing that on their direct reports. And the fact that while there may be some efficiencies, there's also a certain brain drain in the fact that, like, you're having people who don't necessarily have as much creative chops. Like they're using the tool to get rid of the expensive talent, but the expensive talent are the people that know the difference between good and bad.
That's right.
And the way this led me, what this got me thinking is that I feel like there's a parallel between where we are with AI right now and where the entertainment studios are in the streaming wars. Because we saw Netflix becoming a powerhouse, and then everyone else saying, oh, well, we want to have our own streaming platforms. We don't want to just farm stuff out. They were sucking on the teat of Netflix, they were making big money by just licensing all the different studios, licensing stuff out to Netflix. That's how they got so powerful. And they're like, no, we can't have that. We got to have our own. And then you got Quibi, and you got, you got Paramount, you got HBO, and you got every Discovery and all these different things. And then you've got companies merging and eating one company, eating another one, and some companies and studios going out of business because they just couldn't do it no more. And then it all ending up where I don't know if you heard, like, over the past like 2 or 3 years, like once like they started going to more ad supported tiers, and when Disney started adding ads in, and who's starting ads and all that, and in the Hollywood media, a lot of it was reported as, congratulations guys, you invented television. You went through all that to just bring it down
Yeah.
Well, so you went back to do all of that while at the same time gutting your infrastructure, making it a lot harder to do what the old broadcast TV model was already. That model was working and making money, but people got greedy, and so they broke that model to make a crappier version of that model now that's harder to finance. And the allegory I see to that in AI is that as more and more people who have the traditional fundamental skills are maybe phased out because they're expensive in terms of staff, and you have more and more work where now there's so much you already have that problem where there's so much AI content, so much AI visual imagery online that the models are consuming themselves. They're eating their own slop. It's turning into a cycle where now it's like it's devolving into a copy of a copy of a copy. And I can see a point in the near future where there'll be a sameness. There's already a sameness to it, right? There's maybe different rendering styles, but the playing field gets flattened to the point where a style that has any kind of freshness and newness becomes highly valuable. But at that point, artists now have been like, we're a lot more protective because of that. Everything's got nightshade on all of our stuff. And now it becomes a thing where in order to improve their models, what they need is to actually license work from artists. And now the artists who do have traditional skills and fundamental skills and understand composition and value and lighting, like now it's like, oh, well, we've got to go to these people and now we got to pay them to keep these models useful. Otherwise, everything is just gray and the same. And then it's like the few people who do have those skills may actually be able to come up on the big end, licensing their work out. And this goes back to, the big cardinal sin being, massive IP theft of the original creatives without their consent. And the idea of like, in the same way that, artists that actually know how to make and visually conceptualize ideas become very valuable. It's like, well, they were originally valuable. And if you had just licensed their work in the beginning,
that's right.
It would be like, you would have a whole world. Like, I'll tell you this, if I literally just had my existing body of work was something that I was getting residuals for, and people were just generating stuff off of mine, but they're like, you're getting paid every time somebody renders, and it's like, I mean, it's got to be better than the Spotify model, but but let's just say something where it's generating enough that I can now go out and create new artwork without financial concern, and I'm just making the art that I want to make, and it's like now I've got the revenue of selling the new stuff I make, and then licensing the work to AI models and have those as tandem streams where now it's like it becomes a healthy income for a creative. That's a future that I could see as sustainable and ethical versus just scraping artists' work.
That's right.
Is this just a pipe dream? Am I thinking madness?
No, I don't think so. I mean, there's artists that I know, like my friend Efrain, he's building his content world, like he's building his own thing. He understands fundamentals and he gets character design and development. Like he understands. We work with Efrain as a vendor back at Jax.
I remember him. He's a great guy.
Yeah, great dude. And so he started building his world and his content, and he wants to leave a legacy behind. But his use of AI to enhance that, to be able to have a like content that could be usable or licensed, is where that's where he's going. And I think that he's just like his mentor Sid Mead, a futurist, he's thinking ahead of things, right? So he's thinking of something that could be long-term for him and a legacy he leaves behind because of the work he's put in. Now he's one of those guys, again, that wakes up early and spends those long hours creating this world. That now could be for video games, it could be a new TV show, it could be so many things, so that he can start building his other world that he's starting to build too. So that's exactly it. I think that's where creatives need to thrive. And I think utilizing AI to help us boost faster output can help generate income. It could generate books, like again, like how-tos, videos, whatever it is, content that we can own ourselves
Hmm.
and people can utilize, and enjoy, whether it's for preschool, whether it's for, preschool kid stuff, content, sci-fi, whatever your heart desires. I think it is important to start looking down to that direction, because either that or you kind of fall into the spectrum where it's like now you just kind of follow in line with what the corporate world wants you to use and how they want you to use AI versus how
Hmm.
you would utilize it to create your own content and your legacy. You know what I mean? And so I'm on Efrain's side on this one. I think that he definitely, I think we all need to, as creatives, to and again, kind of full circle back in our original conversation, which is build your own content, like build your own world and spend the time to really create stuff for you that you can have ownership of it. You know what I mean? Because like you have your comics and your graphic novels, like you own that, like that's your thing. Now imagine if I saw Jeremy's, you know, Morning Star, like, graphic novel, live action, you know what I mean,
Hmm.
through AI, whatever. You own it. It's your world, your character. And in fact, the other day I saw a guy who took his graphic novel and turned it into an actual cinematic, like a actual movie, and through AI. Anyway, when I find it, I'm gonna send it to you. It's
Oh, please do.
stunning, dude. It's super
Hmm.
stunning. It's all his work, his character.
Hmm.
The AI took his graphic novel and used it as that, almost like a storyboard, grab the characters and render them in a way where it looks like real people. Now, while I'm saying that, I'm also taking in consideration that that does put away work for actors, for that sort of thing. You know what I mean? For like
Hmm.
3D modelers and background artists and all that stuff for cinema, for movie studios. But dude, that's where the world is going, and I think that that's where we all have to be very cautious about how we utilize this in the world, because again, studios are, like I said this on stage at Toy Fair. We're living it now, and it's only been 2 years, maybe going on 3 years deep, since we saw Carla Ortiz at Supreme Court fighting for AI, almost 3 years ago. And
Hmm.
here we are now, where it's full force now. Everybody's
Hmm.
using it. Everybody's your content online. You cannot go on your social media without seeing some commercial, some influencer that's not even real,
Hmm.
selling you Louis Vuitton or selling you this lavish world that they live, that it's completely fabricated. But like I said on stage, wait till we hit 5 years from now.
Hmm.
Wait till you see 5 years from now where you're going to be at in 5 years, with the speed of where AI is going. And
Hmm.
so that's the part that we all have to be mindful about. You know what I mean? And again, it's like these are topics that should be talked about, because again, you have two camps. And the unfortunate part about camps, it divides us.
Hmm.
And it's almost like, again, it's almost like politics, where you get one side and you get the other side, and then it becomes I hate you and I hate you and don't be my friend because you use
Hmm.
AI and you're a tracer kind of thing. You know what I mean? And so and but they don't realize, they're like, look, at the end of the day, if I have ethically used AI for the benefit of my clients and my workflow without compromising, then no one is there to tell you whether you could or could not use it the way you're using it, because they're not the ones putting food on your table. They're not the
Hmm.
ones putting the check for your mortgage to get paid. You know what I mean? But again, there's that ethical part, right? So everybody's different. Some people would just completely generate and make money off that. But some people like myself, you, I'm sure we use it for, again, for the betterment of efficiency within the company, because I'm not going to let AI replace what I bring to the table. I
Hmm.
make sure that all my clients know that it's all hand drawn, sketch, thought out by me or my team. We don't just go, hey, we're going to generate an entire, packet for you so you can pick and choose what you want. It's not the way that we work. And so again, it's because they have that human mind making the decisions that won't bite them in the butt later when they're in the factory going, how do we make this? Who's doing the turnarounds? What's the colors?
Hmm.
We cannot make this function. How do you do it? And now you have no designers to address those things because you fired all of them. So that's my point, dude. Like I said, it's just it's going to be a very scary time for a lot of people, but like I
Hmm.
said, I see a really bright future. I really do. I'm very optimistic to what this could become, and again, utilizing it to the best of your abilities and having that human ethics in there, where you're not stealing and saying, make this car look like Scott Robertson's car. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Or like, don't give me a design that looks like Frank Frazetta's art. No,
Mhm.
you draw it like Frank Frazetta and then put it in there and tell it to render it in, in a painterly style, but don't start copying Frazetta's work. Don't start taking other art. Like, that's the ethical part. Like, don't start using other people's names to generate
Mhm.
stuff. It's just not what I do. And I don't think that's, I mean, if I could do it myself, why am I going to need to draw a car that Scott Robertson would do? If I just saw Scott Robertson's art, I'm like, yeah, I want to do something similar to that. So I start drawing it and I said, I want to do something similar to this. It's my art, and so those are all things that I think we all got to be mindful about moving forward, and I think just not let this divide the community, you know what I mean? Definitely not.
Mhm.
We have enough things in this world that's dividing us, you know what I mean? We don't need to divide over AI. I mean, it's just not just like 3D animation and
Mhm.
traditional analog animation. It's just some guys adapted, some didn't, and you know how that went.
Mhm.
And so, unfortunately, that's the sad part about it. And I think there's people like Aaron Blaze where they do everything by hand still. They're
Mhm.
traditional and they love it and they still do it. And again, look, you can tell the difference. You can tell who's the hardcore, and it's a lifestyle that Aaron has. Aaron Blaze is
Mhm.
like he just it's just his lifestyle. His love is all in the hand drawn, and he's made a career, and he's directed his own stuff, and he's doing his own thing. And so you can't take that away from somebody whose passion is that. So like I said, if you want to be a traditionalist and not adapt to AI, go for it. Make it work, make
Mhm.
it happen. But it's gonna be some hard work, and it's gonna, you're gonna go through some really muddy waters because a lot of clients are gonna want to see that efficiency. Not everybody's gonna be an Aaron Blaze. You know what I mean? And so those are very, very few guys that can really, pull through on their stuff. But again, it's a lifestyle. It's completely a lifestyle.
Yeah, I think that that's one of the most challenging things is that difference between using it to fill in gaps in your skill set versus using it to plus the strengths you already have because they're two
Hmm.
different things. And like you said, it's like when you can go to somebody and say, like the witch example, you're just simply saying, "Hey, I see what you're trying to do here. Show me how this would actually work. Show me the practical work because
Yeah.
that's where the thinking takes place is
Yes.
how do we I mean a lot of times people will be given design tasks where on the surface they think the design task is how do we make this look cool.
Yeah.
When you're saying no, just the same two elements you're asking me to combine in this basic progress, in just the basic concept of combining these two elements
Yeah.
is probably going to be more expensive than you want. So it's like, how do
Yes.
we even get the same effect at a
Yes.
cost effective? Forget about
Yes.
how it looks. We
Yes.
just need to
Yes.
understand the
100%.
reality of how to make this work. And that's something
Yes.
I don't see. That's when you talk about the human element always needing to be there in terms of
Yes.
the problem solving and understanding complexities in a way that I don't think machines are thinking about yet.
Correct. Correct. And
Um,
I love that you said yet. I love that you said
yet.
yet. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the times I think about, I get philosophical about all of this
Sure.
because I've said before that whether I use it in my client work is a matter of what the client demands of me.
Hmm.
In my personal work, I don't use it not out of a moral stance,
Yep.
but because the the act of drawing every little bit by hand and doing the placing the lettering
Yep.
balloons, the word balloons in
Yep.
Illustrator, and doing the page layout, like those things bring me peace. It's a
Yeah.
meditative process. It's
Yep.
not instant. It is me
Yep.
spending a day or a couple of days working on a
Yep.
comic page,
Yep. Yep.
and I almost feel philosophical about the fact that whatever the world turns into, I'm still going to have to eat.
Yep.
I'm going to have to find a way to continue to make a living.
Yep.
I would like that living to be somehow still in the creative field.
Yep.
But whatever it is, let's say, we talk about this in terms of art, but then when we gotta get do a business email or write a proposal or figure out how
Yep.
to do financial, like we're happy to have it do other aspects of our lives.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that it's coming for everybody's
Yep.
work. It's surprising that it started with artists, but it's coming for everybody's.
Everybody. Yep.
That at a certain point, what does the world look like when everything is automated? like I'm almost, there's a strange way of me looking at it as like almost like post-apocalyptic, not in terms of the world is burning down post-apocalyptic, but let's say it's the AI apocalypse. What do we do afterwards? Let's say there's a world in which you have time, you can make art, and whether it is profitable or not has no relevance. What does the world look like then? Because to some people that might be a nightmare, in that their work only has value if they're making money off of it.
It's true.
I come from the mindset that the money is a tool, and for me, the only for me personally, only the reason for making it profitable is to allow me to spend more time doing the thing that does bring value to my life.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that. And like I said, like like I was telling you before, like when I was drawing monsters, my social media was flooded with creatures, monsters, orcs, you know, that sort of thing. You saw it. Nothing to do with toys. Nothing to do with toys. And I was a toy designer, art director, toy designer, and I loved toys. That was my passion. Love toys, but I also love creatures. I also love Photoshop. I also like orcs, monsters, and fantasy art. So I devoted a lot of my time to that, and so I didn't care about the money. I again, it's like, and here's another example of I didn't care about the money. I cared about being in an environment that was peace of mind for me. And so when I went to Jack Pacific, I was making 110 at Jack Pacific as an art director. I don't care. I'll say it. 110. Not a whole lot. If in this time, it's not a whole lot. And even then we were okay. 110. Okay. When I went to Alpha, 100K, $10,000 cut, gone. Okay, so what? I got away from my boss. I got
that's up into a healthier mentally healthier environment for you.
That's exactly my point. So I don't care about the money part of it, because my skills, I feel confident in what I do. So wherever I go, I want to learn experience. Remember that web thing I talked about earlier? I'm building that. So so at that time, when I went to Alpha and I started working with Nickelodeon, I built a great relationship with the Nickelodeon team. Great relationship. So we ended up doing a fun lineup with SpongeBob. I got nominated Toy Designer of the Year for SpongeBob SquarePants. I got flown to London, all expenses paid. Went on the stage, and I mean, I forgot what it was. No, there was no stage thing, because I think I just got nominated. I didn't win, but I was still nominated, dude, for my peers. And
that's big.
It is big, and it was bigger than losing 10 grand. Because it brought value to something that when I first started working in the toy industry, the owner of that company that I used to work for he waved his hand in my face one year in front of the whole team and said, "You're not a toy designer. I don't need your opinion. You didn't go to school for this." I'll never forget it. That's what he told me in front of everybody. "You're not a toy designer." I came from insurance, so that kind of stung a little bit. So all I wanted to do is tell you that I'm a fan of Halo. Like, I want to work with this. I want to do something. But no. You're not a toy designer. We don't need your opinion. Okay, cool. No worries. Fast forward 2019, never forget it. My name is on stage, nominated Toy Designer of the Year. Why? Because I dedicated my life to that. It was something I wanted to do. It wasn't about the money, because I got a pay cut. But guess what? When I was doing what I love to do, during my time at Alpha, I get a phone call from Netflix, and Netflix says, "Hey, we would like to hire you. You came recommended by a friend." I had a mutual friend that connected me there, and they wanted me to be the art director of their Hardlines division at Netflix when they were doing all their licensing stuff. And then Spirit had contacted me like a week earlier, and then I took the job at Spirit. So then when I went to Spirit, I went with Spirit with a much greater value, because
like
now my
exactly.
Yeah, so now my value went up, and now I'm thinking, okay, cool. Now I'm here. I'm doing animatronics now. I have no idea about animatronics. They just like my art. So now I have to figure this out too now. So the moral of the story is, like, sometimes it's not about the money. It's about what you put into your career. Like your career is what you put out. It's what you do. It's your passion, it's your love, everything. Your career could be an accountant and you love numbers, you love math, and that's what you love to do, and that's what you put your effort into. A job, and I've heard this said before, a job is your 9 to 5. You just can't wait to get the hell out of there.
Mm-hmm.
A career is one that you don't look at the clock. And I've heard that before. And it's absolutely true. When I was a Spin Master, dude, I would leave the studio when the street lights were on. And sometimes my wife would be like, "Are you still there? Are you coming home?" Because I was so immersed in this project that I wanted to do this thing right. Same with Spirit. There's times where I would be the first in Spirit, 7:30 in the morning, I would be in Spirit. I would be sometimes the last one in my team out. Why? Because I love what I was doing. I love creating monsters. I love doing this. And sometimes I needed to catch up on some stuff and do a mask. Oh, this mask is looking good. I want to continue it. It wasn't about the money. Because again, they were paying pretty well. And then when I left them, I didn't leave because I'm like, oh man, I don't want to lose all this money, which is a problem sometimes with some people where they think, oh, well, I'm making good money and I'm here. But then their life actually sucks there.
The golden handcuffs.
Yes, it's absolutely that. So they'll throw a party for you, they'll throw a big event for you, and they'll wine and dine you and this and that. But then at the end of the day, you come back to work on Monday like Cinderella, and now you don't have those golden slippers anymore. Now you got those handcuffs back on again, and now you got to figure out how much life sucks again. And now you got to wait another year for a party to go on, and then you get a bonus and you get a raise, and you get still locked up. And now you're thinking to yourself, where did my life go? Where did my life go, dude? Why have I accomplished in all these years? They haven't promoted me. They haven't given me a raise. Everything sucks here. Then leave. Because it shouldn't be about the money. It should be about what you want to do. Now the money will come. I'm a testimony of that. I'm a testimony of that. That I went from a place where I was like, man, dude, I'm making 100K now. Oh man, I made it. Now I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like I'm having a good time. I'm like, I paid for my daughter's college. I'm good. I don't need to worry about it. I pick and choose some of the projects. I'm super grateful that that's where I'm at. But it wasn't because I chased the dollar. It was because I chased what made me happy. And that's the ultimate thing is like, I went with what I enjoy. I love to draw monsters. I love to do this stuff. So I stayed and I started doing Christmas stuff now. And I'm working on all these other things. I'm working with Lowe's now. And I'm working on all these cool things. So like, for me, it's like, I go where the opportunities are, but I go where the opportunity makes me happy. And by making me happy, my family's happy. And then the income comes with it because they know that they're getting somebody with high value, with experience, that's willing to do the job at whatever means necessary. So for them, they get a golden goose. I get a golden paycheck, and I just live life and just enjoy it and don't have to sit there stressed out about it. Like before, where I would be like chewing my nails at like Spirit. I'm like, oh, when am I? It's just everything was just so chaotic, so that I felt like, this isn't for me. This isn't a place for me. This is not where I want to be. I don't like the environment. I don't like being here, but I'm in Jersey. Where the hell am I going to go? It's not like when you're in LA, where in LA, you just, you just hop from another studio to another studio.
Yeah, it's the round robin. Everybody ends up working at all the different companies.
So the thing is, like I said, it's like, and I'll end it with this. It's like, do what you love to do, man. Like really do what you love to do. And that's why I admire what you do, because you have stayed consistent in what you do. I've stayed consistent in what I do. And we've been able to just survive it. Like we've been able to go through the fire and just be like, we're still here doing what we love. And I love the fact that we can do that. You know what I mean? Just love the fact that we can do what we do and not have to worry about, chaos. It's just enjoy what you're doing. You know what I mean? Just have a good time and not worry about all that other nonsense. So that's it.
And
for whatever it's worth.
It's worth its weight in gold. Like those words alone, I'm like, I'm hyped to go make some stuff. I mean, I'm hyped to go make my own stuff. And as you were telling me about that, it made me think of the fact that I had a project I was working on last week for a client. And it's one of those things where it started out being like, oh, this is going to be a bear. And then I went into like the research phase.
Yeah.
And just research and brainstorming, I got excited and I was thinking about we could do this, we could do that. And I'm like, wait, what about this? And I realized that what happened is my brain shifted from work to play.
Yes.
And I think that whether you're doing your own work
Yep.
or whether you're doing work for a client, being able to bring the joy that you speak of,
Yep.
being able to bring that, that's like everybody likes to work with somebody who has a good attitude and is upbeat.
That's true.
If you could come in and no matter how challenging, how heavy the lift is,
Yeah.
like if you come in like, let's go,
Let's do it. Yeah.
that's worth its weight in gold
Yeah.
for you personally.
Yeah.
And I think that is, it strengthens the web.
Yep. That's
It
it.
strengthens the web, brother.
That's it. That's it. And that's important, man. Like I said, it's, when you really look at where you're at in life, and this goes for anybody, wherever you are in life, you got to really ask yourself, is the company that I'm working for, am I getting everything I need out of them? Because you best believe they're going to get everything out of you. Right? So if you are no longer at a place where you are gaining anything that's going to get you to that next level that you want to be, whether it's internally there or outside, whether you're learning a new skill, whatever it is, like, you got to make sure that you're taking care of you wherever you go. No matter if you're an art director, junior designer, whatever your level is, whatever you're contributing to that company, you gotta, this is what I do. And I'll leave you this with this tip. Every 2 years, and ask my wife, because on my 3rd year at Spirit, she's like, so what's next? We were driving, and she said, so what's next? I'm like, what do you mean what's next? She goes, you're on your 3rd year. She knows me already. That like clockwork. She goes, you're on your 3rd year. What's next? And I said, I don't know. I'm gonna write it out for a couple more years. See what comes out of it. She's like, are you good there though? You think you're getting what you needed out of there? I'm like, I don't think so. But let me write it out. So the year after that, I realized I gotta go. So I always do an evaluation for a company every 2 years. So every 2 years, if you look at my resume, you'll see like it's 2 years, maybe 3 years. It's very, very, I always have to figure out if my get, like with Jax, I knew I wasn't going to do anything else. I knew that I was just going to get yelled at and whatever it is.
One for you.
And yeah, and so it wasn't for me. So again, when I went to Alpha, it became more like, well, we want you in charge of SpongeBob and we want to do. And I was like, awesome, this is great. I want to try that. And so it was really good. So the point is, like, if you're not gaining anything out of where you're at least in your 2 years, they're going to evaluate you in your reviews, all that other stuff. They're going to say all kinds of stuff that you need to improve in this. But then what are they improving on in your life? That's some stuff that we forget to ask. And we forget to evaluate them because we're thinking that, oh, we're going to get critiqued, or we might get fired. No, you have every right to be happy where you're going in your career. It's your career. It's not theirs. So I had to learn that the hard way. And I really started looking at, is this company really benefiting me? Whether one, financially, two, growth, mental growth, two, like understanding the business. Are they teaching me the business? Am I understanding the business? No? Okay, then maybe this isn't for me because I want to learn the business. And if they're not giving it to me, then I don't need to be here. So I find avenues. I extend my web, and I start reaching out to things that work. And so then when all of a sudden somebody from my other side of my web goes, hey, I got something over here that might interest you. Are you interested? Hell yes. I'm on my way. Let's see what you got. And then we have these conversations. And that's why the web is so important. But if you're just linked like a thread, like I said earlier, it's going to be difficult to do what I'm telling you right now. But if you start making your web happen through LinkedIn, which is what I do, I go through LinkedIn, I connect with people, I talk to people. I don't just say, yes, I'm going to follow you, whatever. I really connect. Hi, how are you? It's good to meet you. What do you do? Can you send me your catalog? Are you guys in need of an artist? I have conversations with people because I never know when I'm going to need them, or they're never going to know when they're going to need me. But it's good to have that contact. So I say all that to tell people, no matter where you're at in your career, make sure that you evaluate what is necessary for your growth. Find your goal in life. In your next, I do it every 5 years. I move somewhere. Something's happening with me in every 5 years. So every 5 years, something new is happening. So if something's not letting me reach my 5-year goal, and I'm wasting time. So I need to make sure that every 5 years there's an increase, 1, in my income, 2, in my knowledge of the business, and 3, my web, my network has to grow. I need to have those things. So if I'm stuck in a cubicle and I'm not getting taught about the business. I'm not learning anything. I'm barely getting a raise, or there's no promotions here. I'm sorry, but you probably are stuck and you need to make
Mm-hmm.
some decisions real quick. So um, I just want to just encourage everybody that when you really think about where you are in your career, make sure that you evaluate what are they giving you? What are you gaining from that business? And if again, if they keep ignoring you and they don't really have a straight answer, my previous job, so they don't have an answer of where they're going to take you, then
Mm-hmm.
then it's one of those things where you gotta make some really tough decisions, and by tough I mean
Mm-hmm.
good decisions, because
Mm-hmm.
you need a place that's going to really elevate you to
Mm-hmm.
reach those goals. So anyways, long-winded, but yes, that's what I would say.
No, that is from the heart. And I think, the thing I see a lot of people struggle with is they're like, well, my goal is to be creative, or my
Yeah.
goal is to get paid to make stuff. And it's like, you got to be more specific.
Yeah.
You got to be more specific. You
Yeah.
got to specifically say, well, it doesn't mean you have to target one industry. Like you said, it's good to target multiple
Yeah.
industries, but to
100%.
say, what skill set do I want to deliver to these
Correct.
industries?
Correct.
What's the
Correct.
market for it? How do I get a hold, or how do I get in contact with the people
Correct.
who contract people in those
Yep.
various industries or for those
Yep.
skill sets?
Yep.
And like you said, I mean, people networking makes it sound like a dirty word.
Hmm.
People are like, oh, it's schmoozing and being fake. And I always feel like, you know, even though I still struggle with this growth myself, that networking really is just finding people that you admire and then telling them, hey, I admire you.
Yep.
Because with the company, you look at whether it's a game franchise. If you want to be a game designer, then it's like going online and, like I said, getting on LinkedIn and reaching out
Yeah.
to the game designers and the game developers, and
Yep.
telling them how much you admire them, asking them questions about their
Yep.
process. And it's one of those things where, like, when you can offer value to somebody that you appreciate, say, hey,
Yep.
if you ever need this, I'm here for you. But then
Yep.
also just letting them know you're interested, just showing interest in the things that you love beyond just being a fan.
That's
You
true.
know,
That's very true.
so
No, you're right. And
mhm,
I've told students before, I asked them, so what do you want to do? And a lot of illustrators in schools are like, oh, I'm an illustrator. And I said, so what do you want to do with your illustration? They're like, I don't know. I just want a job. I just want to get paid. I'm like,
mhm.
dude, then go to the grocery store. You can get paid there. Why do you want to be an illustrator? Why do you want to pay thousands of dollars to just make money? Like, illustrators, listen, illustration is one of the toughest industries to break into because it's very
Mhm,
competitive. When I that's why I never introduced myself as a, like, illustration is what I do. I'm
mhm,
a product designer, illustrator, whatever.
mhm,
But illustration is not my thing. It's what I love to do, but it's
mhm,
not like, I don't get, my job doesn't consist of illustrations. It's just what
mhm,
I love to do on my side. And so people, oh, you're a great illustrator. Oh, thanks. But I'm a product designer. I design
mhm,
product. I'm a product designer, but I love illustrating. Oh,
mhm,
oh, that's interesting, because all your content is all illustrations. I'm like, yeah, it is, but but the point is that they just want to make money. They don't understand why they need that. So when I drop the bomb on them and say,
mhm,
illustrators are not really in-house artists.
mhm.
It's very rare when it's a studio, maybe game studios, but if you go to a game studio, you got to be like amazing at a game
Like one
studio,
of the
because
best top in the
some of the
world.
top, well, yeah, 5%ers, I think is what they were, 3 or 5% or something like that,
Mhm,
of the best are at Blizzard, at Naughty Dog, or you got Sony with the guys
mhm,
over and what's the other one here? Riot. Like, these
mhm,
guys are just monsters at this stuff. So if you're as good as these guys are, or you're going to compete with the AI generated artists that are, or quote unquote artists, they call themselves, um, then you're heavily competing. So the point is that they actually hire illustrators as contractors. They don't really hire them for internal art. So then you
mhm,
don't get your benefits, you don't get 401k, you don't get any of that good stuff that comes with working in a studio. So that's why with illustrators, I always tell students, be versatile.
mhm.
Don't just be an illustrator, because if I was just an illustrator, believe me, dude, we'd be starving right now, because I don't feel I'm very competitive to that genre, so I would not be able to get the work that I could get. I'd have to be wholeheartedly in there and competing with those Blizzard guys or anybody else. So it's very tough to be an illustrator. So I always say use illustrations as your. This is what I do. I use illustrations as my Trojan horse to get me into areas where typically I wouldn't be able to talk. So
Mm-hmm.
because my art is the way that it is, it's allowed me to break through doors that typically wouldn't be open for me if I was just a regular guy.
Mm-hmm.
So my illustrations are good talking points. They do tell people my skill level. They speak about my storytelling, and also my devotion to my craft. Like I do this for fun, but here's my actual work. My so yeah, dude. I mean, like I said, there's definitely a there's definitely a lifestyle. There's definitely a what's the word like a um like a
I just
genre.
thought.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. What'd you say?
No, go like a genre that you want to get into
Mm-hmm.
so that you actually understand where you're going to take your skills so that it's not
Mm-hmm.
just pigeonholed into one thing that's very limited.
Because I realized a phrase just popped in my head that I've never used before, but I think it accurately describes what you're saying, which is that you weaponized your passion.
Yes, that's exactly it. That's a good way to look at it. I did. Because I'll be honest, I would not have gotten my job at Spirit without my illustration skills.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look, I don't even think I should post it, but I maybe might I might. But my portfolio for Spirit was all illustrations,
Mm-hmm.
literally all of it. So there's no like actual product design. It's I mean I did have a couple, but it was mostly like me drawing creature faces and masks of what I could do for masks and this sort of stuff or whatever. And I did one costume of like a Roman guard or something with some I don't know. It was just really cool. But it was
Mm-hmm.
all illustrated. It wasn't like I drew it and here's the side views, and it was all illustrated. So I got the director position with it. So it wasn't they didn't hire me for my product development skill. They brought me because of my art. And so yes, I did weaponize my art to be able to like I call it a Trojan horse, but it actually gets me in the door. And then it's like,
Mm-hmm.
booyah, look what I can do too. And I can do this and dolls and plush and inflatables, and I could do all these other things. So it does when they get to the core of what I do, now they're like, dude, we got a home run because this guy can do this, and this, and he's led
Mm-hmm.
teams here, this, and this. So where before it would just be like, oh, he's just a great artist, and it's just like, okay, well, yeah, I'm an artist, so you pay me artist salary, and it's like, but then when you break the onions of my of
Mm-hmm.
this world
The
that I'm in,
layers.
the layers is just like, oh wow, this guy's full of surprises. He does this and this and this and that. So
Got layers like a 2 gig PSD.
so that's why it's important to be versatile, especially if you're an illustrator, because you can use illustrations to really open up doors. Comic book artists can do the same thing. I truly
Mm-hmm.
believe that because those guys can draw anything. They have to draw everything.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of bleeds into, to multiple categories. So,
Man, you've dropped so much knowledge, and it's been wonderful just to be able to catch up
you too,
again.
brother.
It's
You too,
it's
brother.
it's been too long, and I miss being able to see you in person. I
You
wish
too, brother.
I
You
like
too.
if I wish I could make a trip out to Jersey just to
Oh
hang.
man.
But it's always good to speak with you,
Thank you,
connect with
brother.
you. I'm always cheering for you when I see you share your work, not just your work, but your travels, because you share
Thank you,
your
brother.
experiences traveling around the
Thank you,
world,
brother. Thank you, brother.
connecting with other organizations. For anyone else who wants to see the journey you've been on, go to Instagram.com/Carlos3Art. Check his work
Thank
out.
you, brother.
Head over to his Instagram. I mean, not just his Instagram, but your LinkedIn, where you
Yeah, LinkedIn.
share
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
merger of the
Yeah.
creativity with the commerce, and
Yeah.
it's beautiful to see that journey.
Thank you, brother.
You bring joy to my life. You bring joy to the life of the
Likewise,
creators
brother.
around you,
Likewise, brother.
and I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. Likewise.
On that note, gang, we're gonna go wrap it up here. You guys know that the usuals. If you enjoy these live streams, like to get additional bonus live streams twice a month, you can become a Patreon subscriber for as little as $2 a month. Head on over to patreon.com/Jeremy. It's patreon.com/GERIMI. If you'd like to get a free digital sketchbook, work in progress animated GIFs, blog posts about what I'm reading, what I'm watching, what's inspiring me creatively, you can sign up for my newsletter at substack.com/@Jeremy. And if you'd like to purchase physical copies, where my books go? They're hiding right now. Physical copies of my comic books or free digitally on Kindle, you can go to amazon.jeremy.net. They'll forward you to my Amazon author page. Pick up all my books there. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. If you know other people who would enjoy these kinds of creative conversations, hit that share button. Pass it on. All right, y'all.
Jeremy.
That's it for now.
Jeremy.
Go be creative.
Jeremy.
Yeah.
Give me a high five. Can you hit
Wait, you know what? I gotta go to the other side of the screen.
Okay,
go to the other side of the screen. Other side. There we go.
Here.
When on my screen, you're on the other side.
Over this side.
There we go. Either way, we're getting it. We're hitting it. We're getting it from all sides. All right, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. You too, man. All right.
Right on, brother. Peace.